What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about this game that is about to drop on open beta tomorrow that I think you guys should definitely give it a shot, and it is Deceive Inc. But before we get into the review, if you guys enjoyed the content, please feel free to like, and if you want to see future reviews, do not forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. But back to the review. Deceive Incorporated, the general synopsis of it is written by the developers themselves. A private corporation with complete monopoly over the international espionage market. You can disguise yourself as anyone and meet anyone in an instant and have access to state-of-the-art gadgets the rest of the world can only dream of, and possess skills that would rival Hollywood's super spies jealous. But you're not alone. Rival spies are after the same objective, and every single one of them is skilled, cunning, well-equipped as you are. Blend in, grab the objective, break out, and in the end, only one spy can complete the mission and get the paycheck. Like I said, this game does drop on open beta tomorrow, so I'm actually going to be playing that for the whole duration of its open beta. I really enjoyed this game. I did get the chance to play this game during Steam Next Fest when they had a beta then. And this game is set to release, I believe, March 21st. So they're doing open access beta this week, and we'll take prep for it and get all the bugs ironed out until March 21st. So the general overview of the game's mechanics is the game consists, you have different spies, each one having unique abilities and weapons, kind of like specialists. We've seen this before, like Overwatch and the numerous Black Ops 4, the numerous amount of games that have had so many different types of specialists with different abilities and so on and so forth. I did find the game to run very, very smooth and very well optimized. Granted, it's not the most demanding game. It has a very cartoonish style, almost reminds me of Team Fortress 2 in that aspect. So I don't think a lot of people will have a very hard time running this game pretty well. And just so you guys know, I have a 270 Super or RTX 270 Super, so at this point my car's getting a little dated, but if I'm able to run it smooth, that can kind of be your metric for you to kind of understand. So the objectives and the goal of this game is it's kind of like an extraction style / battle royale style type of game mode where only one team can win, but the goal is not to be the last team standing, but to be the team that gets out. So it's kind of blending and mashing up between the two. So you either go in by yourself solo, or you can go in with a team up to 3 with each selected spy that you have. The goal is to sneak into the vault that is placed on the map. You have to, inside that vault, there's a blueprint that you have to get inside of it and get out before the other players can get you and kill you. Before you get out of the vault, you have to work your way through the map, which requires you to have certain levels of clearance to access. So in this game, you have each staff member, a part of the building, has different clearances. So base level is gray, where you start as a normal civilian. That's how everybody starts onto the match. Then it's the staffs, which is green. Things like maids and servants. They're a little bit lower level. You can get into a lot more things, but you can't get into them as a normal civilian. The next tier up is security, which they'll be blue with blue suits. That gives you even access to even higher clearance things. Then next is purple, and then finally gold. Gold is to get access to where the vault is the highest level of staff on the map. Each one of those areas, you can purchase upgrades to your character that you predetermine in a deck that you create in the game menu. So in the game menu, you kind of set these decks and cards. I don't know if any of you guys ever played Back 4 Blood, but kind of in that sense where you pre-select what you're going to get. And then you can set the rarity level, and based on whether it's gray, green, blue, purple, gold, the standard that you see in games, the stronger it is. So you acquire those by getting up credits, and you get these credits by looting things throughout the map. You'll see it on the computers. There's little like blueprint screens that you grab, and that's kind of like your currency. You use those to then purchase those upgrades in those select areas. So if you want to get your blue perk that you pre-selected in your deck, you have to get into the blue areas and get security level access to then get in. Obviously, the more upgrades you get, the stronger you are. The one thing I did notice is that you kind of want to get your upgrades quick, because before you can get to the vault, you have to unlock these terminals. There's different terminals throughout the map. Once you get to the terminal and somebody opens the vault, then all the other terminals are closed off. You can no longer get into it. So you kind of there's kind of two aspects of the game. One, you want to be the first one to get to the terminal, or two, you got to get to the vault and escape. If you get to the terminal, that kind of gets you all your upgrades, all the abilities that you want, which then gives you that advantage. So when you then turn on the terminal, you have advantage over all the other players because you have your gold perks, you have your blue perks, your green, you have them all. So the one main thing that is pretty big in this game, and it kind of took me a second to adjust because you're so used to other FPSs that you want to just go fast, move. The big part of this is to be discreet. At the end of the day, you are spies, so you want to be able to come off like an NPC. If you start doing things where people start to understand that, like, oh, something seems fishy about this guy, which I've actually gotten a couple kills that way myself. Whether it be jumping or running or looting things like in an inconspicuous way, because NPCs will not loot. So if you kind of see a player by himself and then you notice he's in a corner, and then the moment you hear like a drawer open, you know that's a player you can go in and kill. The moment that you shoot your gun is the moment that your cover is blown and you will be your character and people will be able to see it, and then you would have to hide and kind of hold off for, like, I believe 10 to 15 seconds for your bar to go down, and then you would regain cover. You would go back into whatever you last were, whether it be a security guard, a staff, or a civilian, or higher. So it's kind of reminiscent, I don't know if any of you guys ever had the chance to play this, but Assassin's Creed multiplayer. I haven't played any new ones, so I don't know if they still do this or not, but specifically in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, you had kind of these death matches where you kind of had to be discreet and sneak up on players that you kind of got suspicious of, and then once you notice it, then you go for the kill. Sometimes you might not get the kill. It turns into a chase. You have to kind of win your battles. So kind of that way. You want to be very inconspicuous and then look out for things that are very suspicious. So now that we've gone through the vaults, now that you've gone through the terminals, next part is the vault. Once you get to the vault, there's the blueprint inside. You have to get enough cash to then open up each door that I mentioned that you get through looting, that you'll see in the bottom middle of your screen. You can see how many credits that you have. I don't know the exact term, but essentially like credits. You'll see how many that you have, and then when you go up to the door, it's going to require a certain amount. So either continue to loot computers, desks, things like that to get those currencies to then open that door. Once you get to the vault, you grab the blueprint, alarms go off, music starts playing, people can see where you're at. Not exactly on a map, but a trail will be left behind you for people to follow. So your goal is, now that you have that, you want to hurry up and get to the extraction point that is set on your map as quickly as possible with your team. Once you're at the extraction point, it takes about, I believe, a minute to 30 seconds to hold that area down while players come after you. And then once that timer is up, you then successfully extract and you win. Obviously, the goal too is if you see people who then captured it, you'll get notified. You follow that area where they're telling you that the players are going. You try to kill them off, grab it, loot it, and now you got to hold down that area. Also too, when you kill people, you can pick up all their different perks and upgrades that they got as well. So the only way to get upgrades is not just purchasing it yourself. You can kill players and take their upgrades that they dropped once you kill them. So now that you guys kind of got the premise of the game, I do kind of want to talk about the intricacies of it. I do want to go over the controllers and the interface. I did find, as you guys can see on the screen here, I don't know if you guys agree with me, I think the UI is very clean and simple, and I like it a lot. It has everything that you need. There's no need to open up a separate menu. Everything's pretty much, you loot on the ground and you have everything you need. Pretty straightforward game. It's kind of this fun, quirky kind of game that I can see having a lot of fun with friends, and it's honestly very enjoyable. As for the graphics and sound, like I said, I mentioned that the visual design reminds me a lot of Team Fortress 2, and I think that's what gives the ability for the game to run really, really well. And for a game that was in early access, the quality, the the performance was very nice. And I don't think it's a game that necessarily needs like the craziest amount. At the end of the day, I do think this is kind of a fun game that could potentially be taken very seriously. But at the end of the day, I do find this game to be just like a super fun game that you play with like a group of friends that it's pretty interesting. So as for the soundtracks and effects, I thought the soundtrack matched really well with the game. I found that the in-game music and the sound effects didn't really take anything away from the game. It actually adds to it. It makes you feel almost like you are a part of this spy movie. Like when you grab that blueprint and you have to get out, they start playing that music, that classic spy music that you seen. If I don't know if any of you guys got the chance to see James Bond, but kind of like that simple, goofy, kind of fun like feeling, and it kind of makes you feel like a kid. I thought they did a really good job with that, and the soundtrack and the effects really add to that. The footsteps, very clear. I had no issues with sound bugs. Overall, I didn't really see any issues with the game regarding bugs, surprisingly. As for the evaluation of the game's overall presentation, I think they hit it out of the park. I think the maps are really good. I only got the chance to play 2 maps. All the footage you're seeing here is from the Steam Next Fest. I thought the maps are great. I thought the character designs were great. I think everybody's very distinguishable. And yeah. As for the multiplayer, kind of talk about the multiplayer as a whole, I think the map and modes were really fun and interesting. I think it's really cool. I'm worried that only having one game might result in player fatigue pretty quickly. I think they have to continue to expand on having more modes and more things other than grabbing it and extracting. I'm afraid that games like that always worry me. That's always been kind of like a small critique against any game any multiplayer game that has one mode. That worries me a lot. So if they are able to come up with other cool creative like spy things, I mean, you have so much material to go based off of. You could probably do some cool stuff. So that's the only thing I would be worried about is player fatigue, and also the lack of a deeper progression system, which, as we all know, leads to player fatigue. If you have nothing to really grind for, some players have a hard time staying motivated and continuing to play the game. So if they can figure out a way to get deeper progression, deeper player fatigue, there's not a whole lot of customization, obviously, because it's a specialist shooter, hero shooter. There's not a whole lot of things you can really change up with your characters regarding weapons or gadgets and things like that. You're kind of stuck with what they give you. Overall, like recap of the game, this game will not be free to play. I looked up everywhere. I couldn't find anything concrete, but I did see you can pre-order the game for $20. I don't think $20 is not a terrible deal, but I'm afraid with a game being that the way it is, I just feel that the game doesn't have enough content that would lead people wanting to buy it. And like I mentioned before, not having enough modes and a deeper progression system might lead to lower player counts, which does worry me because I do think this game is really cool and it has the potential to really catch because it's different and it's something that's fun that you can play with friends. But I think you really need that free-to-play aspect, and I know that not every game has to be free-to-play. I understand that. I have no problem playing for games that I enjoy, but being able to get onto new players, I know some people that probably be automatically turned off. They don't want to pay $20 for it, that otherwise probably would have played it if it was free, enjoyed it, and maybe purchased some things. But I'm not sure. Only time will tell. I'm curious to see what they do and how they go with sales and player counts. The good thing is this game is coming to console, which will help that a lot. And it's also not the craziest price. I don't think $20 is that much, but that's very subjective to some people, obviously. But it is really cool to see that it is coming to consoles. I think this was a perfect game that you could see that, like, and then being able to have cross progression and cross play would be awesome. Final thoughts. I thought it's a really super fun game. I really suggest everybody to go check out this open beta that comes out tomorrow. Like I said, this is not beta footage. This is actually footage from the Steam Next Fest. Super fun game. I really recommend everybody do it. And if you guys haven't done so already, please like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the review. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.